Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaley Gray, and I am super excited to have my friends Vanessa and Jamel here with me. What is so funny is before filming this vlog, we had planned to do this, but we didn't have a topic, like nothing. And I came over here and I was like, I don't know what we're talking about, but I'm excited. And just so you know, you guys are probably the only people I would ever do that with, just because just talking with you, every time I talk with you, I'm always like encouraged and inspired. And so I'm so excited to have you guys on the vlog. And because how long have you guys been married now?
Since 2015, so it'll be 7 years.
7 years.
Wow.
It's a good number.
And they have 2 beautiful little girls.
Yes.
They're sleeping right now while we're recording while they're in bed.
God bless sleep.
But I'm so excited. We are going to talk about preparation. And so I know that's something I'm definitely passionate about, and I know that's something that you guys have been praying about and said, let's talk about it. And so we're going to talk about it. So let's just go. Let's do it.
Yes.
So, one thing we discussed in our chat, just catching up, was just how important it is to really use your singleness as time to learn yourself and get as close to God as you possibly can. Grow in the things of God, become like God. Because if you are right with God, you will be right with your spouse. It's that simple. And so, in life we have ebbs and flows, and sometimes we get busy and we don't spend as much time as we want to with God. But when you don't, it really shows. It really shows.
Yeah.
I know when we're having our intense fellowships, if you will, or if you
I
will.
like that, how you say that.
Yeah, we definitely call them intense fellowships because, that's what they are. We can tell whether or not we've been praying individually. And if you continue to pray as a couple, there are absolutely so many less arguments because you're seeking God through your prayer together. You're seeking God for your spouse. And like you get that wisdom. The Holy Spirit speaks to you on, what your spouse needs, and just being in communion with God. It is everything. It's everything. So
Good. I love that.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Wasn't expecting her to say all that.
Hey, like I said, we didn't know what we were gonna say tonight, but it was gonna be good.
Well, I had no idea. That was really good. It's the I know for me, like the thing that's been on my heart the most has really just been the understanding who you are. The desire that God gave us to be married. It's intense. It's incredible. It's beautiful. It's frustrating sometimes. It's draining sometimes. But spending that time to know yourself is such a huge thing. And I know that's something that was really hard for me. And getting a chance to know all the details about yourself, to really love yourself. Because like what you're saying, if you don't love yourself, you're not gonna love your spouse.
right.
And if you don't spend time to know yourself, then it's like that's one of the hardest things. It's like when you're married, if you don't know yourself, your spouse is gonna try to tell you who you are, and they don't know you.
In those intense fellowship.
Yeah, they're they will categorize you, they will judge you, they will assume, and put all these put you in a different box. But when you spend time with yourself and you know yourself, then no, that's not me. I might have acted like this, I might have said this. That's not who I am. I know who I am. And then I know who I am as a mighty man of God. Not because I wanted to be a mighty man of God, but because God called me a mighty man of God. And I've spent time with him to know myself with him and who he's anointed me to be. That time is so valuable. It is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because going in and out of relationships, you can go in and out of relationships, right? You can experience so much, and then even what's interesting. I know a lot of people talk about dating, and I know we had talked about this before, but to me, it's not dating. It's being friends.
Yeah.
Like when you're intentional on being friends with someone, it sets up every relationship. So like even for me, the preparation to me even marrying my wife, we lived in California and God sent me back to Tulsa to live with my mother. And I'm like, God, I do not want to live with my mother. Like I can afford an apartment. Like I can go get something. And he was like, no, I want you to live with your mother. I want you to learn some things from her before you get married. And it was, for a couple of months, but it was that season that I had to grow as an individual, but then also learn what it was like to live in the house with the opposite sex, like completely different. And I was like, whoa, this is different.
Yeah. I just shared a room with my brothers in Jamaica for a week, so I was like, we're gonna have some rules here.
Yes.
Because it's crazy.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's completely different. And and so I think just knowing yourself, knowing the ins and the outs, knowing what you like, knowing what you don't like, having the time to hear God's voice. Because when you're by yourself, it might seem like a lot of stuff is going on. It is nothing compared to being married and then having kids. Because you're responsible for all these different things. And when you're single, you're not responsible for everything unless you decide to be. But you're not, God hasn't ordained you to be responsible for those things. And it's a different thing. And so, spending that time, that quality time with the Lord, quality time with yourself, dating God. I went on dates with God. That was something that was so important for me. Because I had to know what it was like to give God my hurt and my loneliness. There were times when I went on dates with him and I would prepare the most extravagant meal that I had ever had, or and I did it because I really wanted to know the Lord in a deeper way, and I wanted to give him the best of me. In preparation for my wife, not knowing, and it was one of those things where it's like, if you haven't gone on a date in a long time, you're like, man, I wonder what it would be like, to have a romantic date. And that was a fantasy, that was a dream, right? And I went on a romantic date with the Lord. And it was beautiful for me because I just gave him my heart. And the things that were really important and dear to me And I felt like I was kind of talking to him across the table, like, hey, I need this. Like, this is the kind of spouse that I want. But also having those moments when you talk to God in an intimate way, and you tell him what's actually going on in your life. Like, sometimes we become vulnerable like that, and we do it with our parents or with our friends.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when we're praying, it's like we're talking to God.
Yeah, that's true. I
went on a date with God when I spent the time, did all the prep, the meals down. And I'm like, is this gonna be awkward? Like, but I just felt like, because I've given you my heart in this meal, because you prepare meals with love. Now I just want to tell you how much I love you, and then I want to know, I want to feel that you love me too. I want to feel that I'm important to you. I want to feel that this time is not just me, trying to fabricate a romantic date that I wish I could have.
Yeah.
But that you're loving me, not just like you're loving me the way my mother and my father, a motherly, fatherly love, and it's so deeper than what I could ever imagine. Like, I've had those encounters with God on dates when I could feel his love. And when you feel God's love, there is nothing that can compare to it. Like, you can feel the depth and the width of his love. And it's endless.
Yeah.
Probably makes you feel like, that longing that you have to be with your spouse. Being able to have that intimacy with God could like fill that void. So you're not so I don't want to say thirsty, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. It is,
thirsty. Like because that relationship with God is so much more important. And when you have that, then you can wait for his best. And you want his best. Because marriage is not easy. Even with his best. Even after praying, and when I was single, I prayed and asked God, what do I need in a husband? Instead of me just saying, what do I want? And making a list of those things that I want, I asked him, what do I need?
That's good.
And that's where my list, that's the list that I got. And that's what I used as my guide to, clear the traffic, like it allowed me to figure out who I should be spending my time with. And so that intimacy with God, it's so important. Because when you have that, you feel loved. And so you don't have to seek a man or a woman for that.
Because we had been talking earlier too, like when you're going into marriage, you're not going in to complete that person. You're two whole people coming together.
For his purpose. And like you have to you should at least seek God for what you need in that person, so that you guys can, do his work. As best as you possibly can.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that, the preparation is really finding yourself lost in him. And so that so that you can recognize when he's talking to you at different times. Like when when everything is loud, how's he talk? Everything is quiet. How's when you're restless, when you're frustrated, in all the different seasons. Understanding, how that is, because it's like it intensifies. It really intensifies when you're married. The things that, minor things become loud, everything becomes magnified. And then you have to know, like, how do you get back to a place where you can find peace? How do you get to that place where you know who you are and what you're supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
How do you get back to that humble place? Like, you practice humility. And what I love about, and I call it the prep because it's, before marriage, but it's really living a fulfilled life. It's finding yourself. It's making sure that you are living in joy every single day.
Yeah.
Not living for something else.
Yeah.
Not living for marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're striving for marriage.
Yeah,
because I think way too often people look at marriage as this like pinnacle. Like once you're married, you have arrived. And that is not true.
Oh my God.
It is not true. You can be great in your singlehood. You can be great as a married person. It's all about whether you're in purpose and on time. You hearing from God. Are you doing what He's called you to do?
Yeah.
Being single or married, those are seasons. But it's not like I have a number of people in my life that it seems like they're so hungry for that, and they're not enjoying life now.
Yeah.
And like tomorrow is not promised. So enjoy it and ask God what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And then find your peace, find your joy. Find it in that. Not whether you're married or not.
Yeah.
Some people, they don't even value themselves.
Yeah.
They think their value is in being married, or they think their value is in having a family.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then when you're married, you're like, you can do the same thing. You can not value yourself and have all the kids, great wife, great spouse, wonderful kids. So then it's like, no, you have to find it.
Yeah.
You have to find it before.
Yeah. And be grateful.
And then live a life of understand living a life of gratitude.
Yeah.
Like practicing gratitude. And it is one of the biggest things. It is, because when you can find joy in any situation, then it helps you. Because the interesting thing is you can be a great person by yourself and a great person married, or you can be a horrible person by yourself and a horrible person married.
Yeah.
The difference is that when you're married, you bring that misery on other people.
Wow.
That's the difference.
So it's so important to find that joy in your singleness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And become that whole person while you're single. So that you can add value to someone else. And then add value to your children and make them better. Like, it's all about you making your spouse better. Like, if you're dragging them down, there's no benefit in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're
because life is gonna have it's gonna bring its challenges.
Absolutely.
Like, you're gonna get down. Like, it's you're gonna be up and you're gonna be down.
Yeah.
And then it's about, what did I practice before this came?
Yeah.
What were the habits? Did I pick up a habit of always being joyful? Did I practice a habit of loving myself?
Yeah.
You know, or did I practice a habit of judging myself, getting down on myself, being too hard on myself, being too critical of myself?
Yeah.
Like, all these are practicing habits. And even like with a relationship, when you look at it, you know, if I can turn on my brother, who's my flesh and blood, I can turn on my spouse.
Yeah.
Practicing like loving your family members and your friends through hard times.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
So many people are like quick to be like, I'm done with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you practice, you know, when you practice loving someone, and then you practice, I'll never forget, I heard a pastor say, you know, you have friends, but just like in a church, there's the pulpit, and there's the front row, and then there's the back row, and then there's the balcony. I guess, yes. He said, that's, you know, there's some people that you keep, you know, in the pulpit of your life. But there's some people, they belong in the balcony.
Wow.
Never forget that. I was like, oh my God. It made so much sense. And he said, remember, you're still in the same room, but they're just not as close to you.
Wow. Yeah.
And you need to learn how to keep that space between them. Remember, the person in the pulpit can whisper and you can hear them. Sometimes the person in the balcony can't be heard depending on how big that church is.
Man.
So it really brought it in perspective of the boundaries that I set in life with family and friends.
Yeah.
Especially as I learned how to hear from the Lord. One of the biggest things that I learned as a single person was that people are not going to agree with what the Lord is telling them. Everyone's not going to agree because they're looking at the situation as if they were in your shoes. But they're not you.
Yeah.
And your journey, your process of development, your process of developing your character, your process of becoming nurtured by the Lord is different for every single person. And so I've learned, like, I just got to know that I know the Lord told me to do it.
Yeah.
And if I hear that in that secret place, in that private place, then it'll be easy for me to say, when I'm hearing all the loud noises. You know, when I was single, I'd be in my apartment by myself, and you know, it was nothing. You know, like I didn't hear anything. It was like, you know, it was completely quiet. Now, any given time, the babies could wake up. It'd be, you know, like, oh Jesus, like I'm trying to hear you, Lord, and the babies are, or my wife can get up and do things, and I'm like, God, I just want some quietness.
Yeah.
And I realize it's the practice, the practice of drowning out the voices and hearing the Lord.
So good.
What are you saying? You know, what's important to you right now? And it's funny too, because typically now it's been so hard because of babies and waking up in the middle of the night. I'm like, God, I didn't get enough rest. I feel like a 2-year-old, you know, so I didn't get enough rest, Jesus. and you know, and he's almost like, just come spend time with me. I just want to love on you.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. The Lord is so beautiful to me because I love like colorful pictures, and I dreamed. I was like a hopeless romantic, right? And the Lord, it was like He wooed me in. Like the best, the most amazing relationship. Because I've heard Him, and He's given me some really told me to do some really outlandish stuff. And I did it. I stepped out of faith to do it. And everyone said I was nuts. Believers. And then when it came to pass, they were like, man, glad you listened to the Lord.
Yeah.
But it was that amazing intimate relationship that I wanted
In
with
that
the Lord.
preparation season, you spent that time so you could hear that voice clearer.
And it's really something, because when God calls us to live by faith, faith is not a comfortable place to be at.
Yeah.
Faith is actually a very uncomfortable place,
Yeah.
because you're fighting with your flesh and you're fighting with logic. So logic resists faith. It's a complete resistance to faith. And the practice of living by faith and not visiting faith. Because anybody can visit faith. People that aren't even believers can visit it.
Yeah.
But God has called us to live by faith.
Yeah.
And that is something, whoo, it can pull you. Because, we naturally want to be comfortable. We naturally want it to be, want the sea to be peaceful.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah.
And when that sea starts roaring and, those waves get big, you're like, oh my God. When trauma happens, when you lose your job, when you lose money, practicing those things, how do I deal with those things? Before, do I break down and I go into a deep depression when I lose my job, when I lose someone close to me, when I lose what I think is valuable to me, if my car gets repoed, what do? Is my identity in my stuff? Because if your identity is in your stuff when you're single, it's going to be even more intensified when you're married.
Yeah.
And then that spirit of a false identity can also transfer to your spouse. So both of you are living in a place of false reality. And identifying yourself in your things. And then when those things are removed, a lot of divorces happen.
Yeah, because what's left?
Yeah.
Man, this has been so good. I feel like we could have series 1, 2, 3, 4. We could just be talking all night. I love it. Do you have anything, like, last tips that you want to give some singles out there, people that are in relationships, in their season? It could be about preparation, or it could be any relationship advice.
I would say, don't settle. God, I think a lot of people think that they have to just take whatever is offered to them. But God wants you to have His best.
Yeah.
So, and I said it earlier, seek Him for what His best looks like for you. Because you are different and perfect, fearfully and wonderfully made, just the way you are. And He has made someone just for you. Just for you. That will love you where you're at right now, and then be that strength for you when you go through different things, different seasons. So just don't limit Him, because He's God.
Yeah.
Like, He created all of this that we're experiencing. So why would you think He couldn't give you His best?
Yeah. That's good.
He can.
I love that.
And He will.
He will.
And He will.
Yeah.
And He will.
Yeah.
He will. I think when she said don't limit God, I love that. Also practice excellence. Because I've been studying what excellence and success looks like. And the interesting thing is that as believers, we're called to dominate the world, to rule the world, to love the world, love on them, show them, be the example, be the light on the hill. That's what we're called. That's what we're called to do. But if we don't if we don't have the right work ethics, if we don't have the right character, if we don't operate in excellence, if the world operates in excellence better than we do, then then we'll always be beneath, and we'll never be able to soar.
Yeah.
And so I think practice excellence before you're married.
So good.
Because the dream is that you just won't marry up. I mean, not just, but that they'll marry up too.
Yeah.
And that both of you will benefit from the greatness of what God has prepared.
That's so good.
And so that practice of continuous, like, I want to be the best. That brings better finances. And so, no, money can't buy you love. But money can buy you some things that will allow you to enjoy life. And so, and with the love of the Lord, you will be happy whether you have the money or not. But it definitely is good when you don't. Because the other thing, the Lord hasn't called us to have a poverty mentality.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that don't operate in excellence, they don't get the best. And they settle because they think that they can't have the best. But excellence draws the best.
Yeah.
It puts you in front of kings and queens, the best of the best. And so my hope is that everyone will practice that so they can receive all the blessings
So good.
that God has.
I love that. Oh, well, thank you guys so much for taking time just to share your heart. And I mean, they've been ministering to me, I feel like, all night. So it's been so good. So hopefully that you guys are encouraged by this. And I'm going to have to like re-listen to this a few times and like take notes because there were so many good things in here. So I just adore you guys. So thank you.
We love you too.
And I hope you guys have an amazing Friday, and I will see you next week. Bye.